excited to have you here for our webinar today to talk through streamlining client onboarding. So whether you're just starting to onboard clients or you're looking to enhance your current process, we're going to explore strategies that deliver a personalized client experience while optimizing your internal workflows. So just before we jump in, I have some quick housekeeping items. So this session is being recorded and we will send you a copy shortly after the webinar ends. And we will also have a live Q&A session at the very end. So please feel free to ask questions throughout the webinar, and then we'll have time to walk through them at the end. So on today's agenda, we're going to walk through customizing your onboarding process. Then we'll dive into implementing templates into your workflow. And then lastly, leveraging best practices to boost client engagement. So client onboarding looks different for everyone, and that's exactly the point. So clients today expect an experience that's personalized, intuitive, and thoughtfully designed just for them. And at the same time, advisors need an onboarding process that's efficient and scalable, and one that can capture all of the essential information to build a thorough, customized financial plan. So the real question becomes, how can we create an onboarding journey that delivers both a high-touch experience for the client and a high-efficiency process for the advisor? So to truly personalize the onboarding experience, we need to start off by mapping out the client journey. So this helps us identify where personalization adds the most value and where automation can support it. So a very simple framework for that, to really guide through that process, is first pre-onboarding. So that's creating the client in the advisor portal, and then tailoring the planning access to really customize what modules the client will have access to. And then we move on to the kickoff. So that's inviting the client and booking the first meeting. So that means the client's accepting that invitation, they're starting that data entry process, then we're getting that first meeting on the calendar, and then we're using that time to begin setting goals, answering questions, and then showing them the value of this process. And then lastly, those ongoing touch points. So personalization doesn't just stop after the onboarding. You can host a lot of regular check-ins and reminders, really to keep that client engaged using RightCapital and using the different planning modules. So really, by intentionally designing each stage of the journey, you can create an onboarding experience that feels customized, but it's also really efficient for you as well. So I'm going to move over to RightCapital. So I'm going to just switch over screens here. Sorry. There we go. So now I am logged into RightCapital. I'm in my advisor portal. And before we jump in to going over those 3 steps and really walking through an onboarding strategy, I do want to quickly highlight customizing your client portal. So this really elevates the client experience when they see your logo and your color theme that you select. So up at the very top right of my screen, I'm going to click into the gear icon, and then I'm going to click into the account tab. So again, I won't spend too much time in this customization tab, but I do want to highlight that you can add your logo into RightCapital. So we have 2 fields here. In the middle of the page, we have a positive and a negative logo. The difference between a positive and negative is just the kind of depending on the color theme that you're going to use down below. So a positive logo is just a logo file with a white background. And then a negative logo is also known as a transparent logo file. So if you're using a darker color theme in RightCapital, you'd want to have a negative logo just so it's transparent and you can see the color behind it. So for example, in the RightCapital logo, we can see the purple behind the RightCapital. I always also like to shout out that if you have any trouble uploading your logo in RightCapital, please reach out to our support team. We want to make sure that we can upload that and that that it looks really good in your advisor portal. So I also want to highlight that we just recently had a product update where you can now crop your logo. So if you've been with us for a while and maybe your logo's appearing a bit small in the top left of your advisor portal, just come back over to the customization tab, just hover over the logo and then click update. And then I just want to quickly show what we did. So I'm going to pull up a logo file here and then imagine I want to crop this one. So what we did is now we have a freeform crop feature, and then you can also size by the most optimal logo file in RightCapital, which is a 5x1. So if I click into it, that will automatically show me the most optimal size for that logo. So again, if you've been with us for a while and you have a little bit smaller of a logo there, come back over to the customization and then re-upload that. So that is getting the logo file in there. And then right below that is the color theme. So this can also really elevate that client experience when they log in and see this updated color. So if you have a specific hex code color, you can enter that in, or you can click on the hashtag to the left of that field, and then we show a color wheel dropdown. So for example, if I wanted my primary color to be that RightCapital blue, I can type in that specific hex code color. Oh, let me see, 0E6. And then right below that, you'll see the client preview. And now my primary color in RightCapital is that RightCapital blue. So again, I can do that by specific hex code, or I can do it by the hashtag. And then this is not the best color combo there, but just want to show you as visual. So always like to shout out, customizing your portal can always be really nice for the client to see all that customization. So let me reset that because I do not want to look at that for the next hour. We'll go right back to where we were. So that is the customization. And I really want to move on to and put a lot of focus on templates today. So up at the very top right of the advisor portal, if I click right next to the help button, we have our 3 dots, which is known as our more menu. And if I click into it, I'm going to go to the first tab on the left, which is our templates. And today I really want to focus on the planning access, onboarding, tasks, and vault templates. So this is the easiest way to make sure content is personalized, but also saves you a lot of time applying them to client plans. So up first is planning access, and I put together a lot of use cases that we see a lot of advisors using. So I'm just going to walk through them. But again, if you at the end of the webinar want me to come back and really walk through this, just let me know or just ask any questions and we can walk through them. But first up, planning access. This is what which modules the clients, after they're invited, will have access to when logging into RightCapital. So this allows you to save a lot of time creating the layout now and then applying it to different client plans. So our first use case here is a lot of advisors will do basic information plus a key module. So key module means, hey, I want to focus on one specific module or a few specific modules. So for example, in this case, I have basic information like the dashboard snapshot, and then my key module here is the retirement tab. And then the last thing I wanted to include is the profile information. So all of the detailed data entry along with their blueprint. So then we see somebody might want to do basic plus insurance or basic plus tax planning. So it's really, I want basic foundation of the plan plus highlighting a specific module. So that is the first one. Then just a basic overview. So they want to overwhelm the client when they're inviting them. Let's just give them bare basics of the snapshot and then scrolling down to see the profile tab. So really, we see this a lot when you invite a client and then you want them to finish the data entry. And then once they press the complete, you don't want to overwhelm them with all the planning modules. And maybe you're saving to, give them more access after your first meeting with them. So a lot of the times setting up just a basic overview where you throw in some key visuals that they'll see based on the data entry points. But again, you're not overwhelming them with all of the information. Another really popular one is highlighting key visuals. So the key visuals in RightCapital would be our dashboard snapshot and then our retirement cash flow maps. So if I click into that, that would be highlighting the maps section of the cash flows. And then lastly, at the very bottom is the blueprint. So the top 3 visuals in RightCapital: dashboard snapshot, cash flow maps, and then the blueprint. So if I really want to just hit home that their planning access is highlighting all of the visuals that are really easy for the clients to understand and kind of walk through. Then I can also do one around onboarding. So I just want to highlight again things that they would have seen in onboarding or just dashboard snapshot in their balance sheet. Another really popular one is after the first presentation. So this is kind of unlocking more after you've had that initial presentation with the client. And again, you can customize this to different client plans and what you think is applicable. But let's say after this first presentation, I reviewed the dashboard snapshot. I went over that retirement analysis. We did a lot of what if proposals, and I now want them to see that after that presentation. And then I always want to include that profile information as well. Just more of that base case foundation of the plan. So that is another one. And then I always throw this in as an example. We do see some advisors tiering off the access in RightCapital. So different client tiers, maybe a silver or a gold. And again, that's just unlocking more modules. Also, just one highlighting the cash flows. And then we also have one for just all planning modules. So if I want to give the client access to everything after the data entry, we see that as a very popular option. I like to say this is really popular for the engineer clients. They like to go really in the weeds on everything. So a lot of the time, some advisors will give all modules. And then the last group or common example I wanted to include today is based on specific client age. So millennials, in this case, 20s to early 40s. For example, some really popular modules would be liquidity, budgeting, and then if I scroll down, investment asset allocation, retirement analysis, that base case information, and then the debt and student loan. So really just highlighting important modules for that specific age group. And then lastly, pre-retirees, focusing on investment, retirement, life insurance, and then the tax module. So just saving a lot of time there. All right, so then scrolling up. So that is the first template, really going to save you time when you're inviting the clients and controlling what access they have to RightCapital. And I always like to point out that this can change at any time. So if you wanted to go, okay, let's go really basic overview first, then you have that initial client meeting and you want to give them access to more, you can always do that back in the clients tab. Or let's say you give access to all planning modules and then you get kind of bombarded with questions. You can always come back and say, okay, look, let's meet and talk about it. And then, I'm going to take that away and then give it back in the future. So you have full flexibility on, I just like to point out that templates doesn't mean that's what they'll always have. You can always control that. So this is really just setting up time for what they'll see when they are invited. And then moving on to onboarding. Before I go nitty gritty into the onboarding templates here, I do want to point out that we have two different views for what their onboarding will look like. So our typical is the profile cards. So typically you'll see it start on step number 1, family, and work through step number 6, goals. And you click into each of the profile cards and enter the information. But we can also have the onboarding look like the blueprint. So before we go into kind of customizing the onboarding templates here, I just want to show the visual of what the difference between profile and blueprint for the data entry looks like. So I'm going to head over to my clients tab up at the very top left, and then I want to show first what the onboarding in the blueprint will look like. So if I wanted my client, when I'm inviting them in their initial, when they're entering their initial data entry, if I want to use the blueprint, I just want to show you what this will look like. So it will start off number 1, family profile, and then net worth, goals, income, savings, and expenses. So those are the subsections of our blueprint. And then here it's really entering the information on a more visual level. So here I can add different items to the net worth, and then you'll see the updated blueprint. So this really just walks through getting all of that data entry in on the blueprint level. So if the clients, this can be used for maybe older clients to make it really easy for the visuals, but also younger clients as well. But this is just more of that visual, really easy to understand all the data entry points. And then I just want to show you what it will look like in our standard profile view. So if I'm onboarding in a profile view, just uploading that. And then here we can see number 1, it starts on family profile, works the way through step number 6. And then in this case, I have the vault added as well. So this is just clicking through each and every profile entry card. So that is just the difference between blueprint and profile. So let's go back over to templates. And I just want to show how you can customize that for the clients. So 3 dots and then templates, and then back into onboarding here. So I can create as many templates as I'd like. And here I can decide, do I want to create that template from the profile or blueprint view? And then to take it one step further, I can completely customize the way it appears for the client. So if I wanted to move the net worth tab to the first right after family, I can do that. So if I hover over the net worth, I'll see this little hand icon, and then I can drag that up. So now in this template, the net worth would appear first for the client. And let's say I didn't want to include the net worth, I can uncheck that, and then that removes it from the template. So really I can customize exactly what steps are included in the initial data entry. And then same thing with the blueprint. If I wanted to just do the net worth blueprint and I wanted to handle goals after I meet with the client, I can uncheck that. And then I can also include the vault and the risk questionnaire in that onboarding as well. So very popular to include the vault just in case you need them to upload documents that will help with the data entry. You can do that as well. And then also you can include that in the profile too. So vault and risk questionnaire. So here I have a few examples. So if I wanted to do the blueprint visual plus the vault, or blueprint visual plus risk, or just the blueprint net worth. And then in the profile, if I wanted to do profile plus vault, or profile with the net worth first. So again, just showing those different options to completely customize what that will look like. And then that's just checking off vault. So that is the onboarding templates. So very helpful in just getting that all set up on exactly what the client will see when you invite them and you want them to enter their data. And then up next is tasks. So this is a very big time saver. It allows you to create tasks and then assign them in the client plans. So this really helps keep clients engaged in the planning process, and then it really ensures that they're completing the tasks on time. So I put together some examples here. So we see a lot of advisors creating tasks more as reminders. So, or hey, make sure you do this in the data entry, or just make sure you do this in general. So upload a specific statement to the vault, or upload your social security statement. Reminder to complete the data entry. So maybe I invited Adam 2 weeks ago. Sorry, I'm just using Adam Sandler as an example. Let's say I invited my client 2 weeks ago, and they have not yet completed all the entries that I need them to before we meet next week. I can give them a reminder to complete their data entry. We can also do contribution reminders, rollover reminders, reminder to schedule a meeting, also linking accounts to the net worth. For younger clients, really creating that monthly budget. And then also reminder, maybe I didn't want to invite the client to RightCapital, maybe they're not as tech savvy, and I just wanted to send them our data collection template to have them fill out. I can do that as a reminder as well. So it's very easy to create tasks. So all I have to do is add a new template. It will always default to new template, but you can always click into it and name it whatever you'd like. Just press that blue checkbox, and then here I can add different tasks. So once I click add tasks, it will give me a due date and then an assign to. So I want this to go to all advisors, all assistants, the entire firm, or just specific clients. Then the priority, is this high, low, or no priority? Is this task visible to the client, or do I just want this to be an advisor-facing task? And then I just have to write the task. So this is really just setting a foundation template, and then once we are in the client plan, I can assign that task. So that is tasks. And then again, just a lot of different things you can do here, just reminders, a lot on the data entry, and also as contribution, rollover, and scheduling meetings. It's important to note that once a task is assigned to a client, they'll get a notification 2 weeks, 1 week, and then the day it's due. So lots of notifications to get that complete. And then lastly, the last template I want to go through today is the vault. So this is a way for clients to, they can upload documents securely right within RightCapital. So some examples here are creating folders for initial data entry information. Maybe you would like them to upload their insurance or annuity contracts. Another very popular one is beneficiary information. And then we see a lot of advisors creating yearly report vault folders. That way, at the end of the year, you can run an entire report of all things in the client plan, and then just kind of keep a running report just so you can always reference it in the past. And then lastly is just any client meeting notes. So those are just some popular use cases. But again, just creating the templates now save you a lot of time in the future. So let's say I wanted to always make sure that insurance and annuity contracts is uploaded in every client plan. On the right-hand side, I can apply this template directly to different client plans. So do I want that to go to all client plans or specific groups? Or if I scroll down, I can also assign it to specific clients. So very easy, again, just to create vault folders that you know you need documents for in their client plan, and then just making it a lot easier so you don't have to impersonate each client, add that specific folder just for them, and then repeat when you don't have to keep repeating that. So that is applying the vault templates. So again, planning access is going to control what modules the client will have access to. Saves you a lot of time, a lot of awesome templates that you can create, either basic overviews, giving them access to everything, or just specific modules. Onboarding, what does the onboarding screen look like for them? What information are you having them complete? The tasks, really to stay on top of the client to complete things, or just to give yourself a reminder. And then the vault is if you need specific documents, create the folder now and then apply it to all client plans. So then you don't have to do it individually. So this can help save a lot of time when onboarding clients. All right, so once we have the template squared away, we need to move on to step number 2 of the kickoff, which includes inviting the client. So I'm going to head over to the Clients tab up at the very top left of the screen. And then first, I'm going to click into Add New Client. And then today I'm going to be doing the fan favorite Adam Sandler plan. So I'm going to type in Adam Sandler. And then here I can either enter Adam's email address, and then at the very bottom, click this blue Invite Client to input information. That would mean the email goes out to Adam. He gets my email to create his password. He gets access to RightCapital and then can do the data entry. Or if as the advisor, I want to do a portion or all of the data entry, I can click Input Client's Information Now. So I'm just going to do Input Client's Information Now, and then I'm going to head back over because the next default screen is going to be our default 6 steps of data entry. But let's say I want to customize the onboarding and apply one of the templates I just built. I'm just going to head back out to the advisor portal. So now I'm going to go back out, gear icon up at the top, and then advisor portal. And then Adam Sandler will be on the left of my client list. So I just have to click on his name. And then when the client is still in that initial onboarding period, at the very top right of the screen next to client access, they will have an onboarding tab. And now this onboarding tab allows me to select an onboarding template. So if I just wanted to do blueprint, visual plus vault, or maybe I wanted to do profile plus vault, this is where I can easily apply those templates. So again, saves a lot of time. Instead of having to come here and individually check that off, I can just apply one of my templates. And then once I press save, now the update will be profile plus vault. And now when Adam goes to log in after I invite him, that's what he'll see. So then now I want to invite him. So I can go to the client access tab right to the left of onboarding. And then here I can enter the email, invite him, and then he'll have access to RightCapital. So there's 3 ways you can invite a client into RightCapital. The first one is from the very beginning by clicking that Add New Client and then inviting them to input their information. And then the second is using this client access. So I can type in the email and invite him. And then I just want to show you an example. So once I have invited the client, I want to just show you what it will look like when they've accepted the invitation. So right next to client access, you'll see the client name and then invitation accepted. So that means the client has received my email, they've created their password, and they have access to RightCapital. So then you'll see their email, and then you can always remove access or reset their password or disable 2-factor. But once the client has accepted the invitation, you'll see invitation accepted, meaning they have access to RightCapital. But if I went back to Adam Sandler, I went into client access, and then let me just use a different Gmail account here. I just want to show you what that will look like from the very beginning. So I'm entering an email, I press invite, and then my email will go out. But let's say that I didn't want to email the client or invite them directly through RightCapital. I also have the flexibility to generate a direct sign-up link. So what that will allow me to do is copy this link and take it outside of RightCapital and email. So if you prefer to email the client outside, maybe you want to include different resources from outside of RightCapital, you can do that as well. So inviting them will send our default invitation emails, or I can click on that dropdown and then generate a direct sign-up link. So let's say that I actually wanted to invite him using the RightCapital, our invitation email. I can completely customize what that will look like as well. So if I wanted to make adjustments to that, I can head over to the gear icon up at the very top, click into account, and then customization again. And then at the very bottom of this screen, we have our invitation email templates. So this will be automatically generated through RightCapital when I invite the client. We have 2 variations of this template. The first one is when the data entry is complete. So as the advisor, if I prefer to do all of the data entry and then invite Adam at a later date, he would receive the top template. And then the bottom template is when they can still access that data entry. So they are still in that onboarding stage. I always recommend creating yourself as a client with a separate, let's say, Gmail account so that you can invite yourself through RightCapital, and then you can see exactly what this will look like as an email. And then you can always come back to the customization tab and make any adjustments here. But again, the difference between the two is just where they are in that initial onboarding stage. If it's complete, they will receive the top template. If it's they can still access the onboarding, they will receive the bottom template. Some advisors will also just have the messaging mimic each other. So if you wanted to make updates there, you can as well. But always recommend just creating yourself as a client so you can see exactly what this will look like. So then back in the Clients tab up at the very top, and then if I'm going back to Adam, again, client access, the direct sign up link will allow me to email him outside of RightCapital. And then if I wanted to invite him within RightCapital, they would receive those default email templates. So then if I just want to also show this direct sign up link as a visual, so let me just go into incognito, and then I'm just clicking into this as if I was the client. And then this is what the page will look like. So if you have your firm logo updated, you'll see that in the middle of the page. Email will already be entered, and then they just need to create a password and then create their account. So a nice branded experience as well with that direct sign up link. And then the last way you can sign up a client is through our leads URL. So I'm going to show that if I go up to the very top right of the screen and then click into the account tab, in our profile section towards the very bottom, we have what's called a RightCapital leads URL. So this is bypassing creating the client in the advisor portal. And here I can copy this link. And again, I'm just showing that in an incognito so you can see what it would look like if I was a client clicking on my leads URL. This will allow clients to sign up on their own. So they would just enter their email, create a password, first and last name, and create an account. So some advisors will embed this into their website. So if they wanted to say, oh, sign up for RightCapital using my leads URL so that you don't have to create them in the advisor portal from the very beginning, this can just be another way to streamline onboarding. So again, this is called the RightCapital leads URL, and that is located in the gear icon, account, and then if I scroll all the way down in the profile tab, that is the leads URL. So just an easier way to invite clients if you do not want to enter them in the advisor portal. And by default, they will just have access to the 6 steps of data entry. So that's number 1, family, working their way through step number 6, goals. But again, more popular to add them in the advisor portal first and then invite them. But RightCapital leads can be used as a great prospecting tool as well. Awesome. And then the last thing I want to plug here in this account section is also in the customization tab. And once the client is invited, many advisors will send the client their branded login page. So I either send this to clients outside of RightCapital saying, hey, bookmark this moving forward. This will be your login screen. Or many advisors will embed this into their website so everything is all in one spot. So this is just another great kind of customization layer of RightCapital where I don't have to tell the clients to log in at rightcapital.com/login. I have a customized branded login page that they can use moving forward. So the branded login page is used after the client has accepted the invitation, and this is really to bookmark and use moving forward to log in and have access to their client plan. So if I click on this logo, click on this link, I just also want to show you again what that looks like as a visual. So let's pretend I am a client. I have my RightCapital account. Here, I would just bookmark this. And again, the RightCapital logo that you see at the very top, that will turn into your firm's logo. So just a nice branded experience there. So I know there's a lot of links that I just went over there. Branded login page is after the client has been invited, and then they just bookmark this moving forward. Very popular to see advisors embed this into their own website. So again, clients are just more familiar with going to your website, so you can always add that as a button. And then, or they can just email this outside and say, hey, bookmark this. This is your new login page moving forward. Awesome. And then lastly, I just want to quickly touch on that again, just the difference, the profile tab at the very bottom, your leads URL, that is just helping clients sign up on their own and really a prospecting tool as well. All right, and then the third stage of this onboarding journey is where those ongoing touch points. So very important. This is really where tasks, right flows, and right intel come into play. So I'm going to head up to the very top of my screen and click into right flows. If you do not see right flows, that's perfectly fine. You'll see the tasks tab at the very top. So right flows is available on the platinum level, but right flows is really driven by tasks. So they are interconnected. So if you do not see right flows in your account, that's perfectly fine. You'll see tasks up at the very top and it will look exactly like this. So tasks are a great way, again, to check in during and after onboarding. So really helpful at setting goals and then keeping your clients engaged. So here in the tasks, this is a great layout to see all of your overdue tasks that are due this week, in the future, and then completed tasks. On the left-hand side of my page, next to tasks, we have a table view, or I can switch it over to a board view. And then I can also filter between all clients and then all tasks. And then here I can easily add the task. So do I want to do a single task or use those task templates? So again, it saves you a lot of time when you build out the template and then you see them here. So then if I wanted to do single task, that will open here, and then task template. If I wanted to upload statement to the vault, it already kind of defaults exactly what I built out. And then the only thing I need to do here is set a due date for that client or clients and then assign it. So very helpful. This is kind of the hub for tracking all tasks. I can always click into it. I can always share, make it visible to the client, or adjust anything here. But again, they will receive an email right when the task is due, and then 2 weeks, 1 week, and the day it's due. So very helpful to stay on top of all things task related. So on top of tasks, we have workflows, which is our RightFlow workflow. It's really a workflow management tool that's driven by tasks that automatically push clients into the next step of the workflow based on when the task ends, or when they finish the task, I should say. So here I just want to walk through a couple examples. Again, RightFlows is available on the platinum level, and this is just a foundation using tasks, but walking the client through a specific workflow. So for example, a lot of advisors will create a new client workflow, and if I click into it, this will allow me to create tasks for each individual step, and then once they complete each task, they move on to the next step of the workflow. So prospecting, then I have that initial call, data gathering, planning call, open any accounts, and then create that financial plan. And then I can see each client within that workflow, click into it, and then I can see all of the tasks associated with that workflow. So just a lot of helpful information there. Again, all driven by tasks, so you can add all of this to task and then just assign the due date as well. But this just makes it easier for the firm to kind of follow a workflow. So back in the all workflows, another very popular one is quarterly reviews. So I can click into it, and then here I can see first quarter, mid-year, third quarter, and then end of year. And then just as time progresses, they move into the next workflow. And then just a few more examples. RMDs are a big one. So I can click into that, identify and satisfy the RMD. And then Roth conversion opportunities. So identify, convert, and then review. And again, just clicking into each client that's in that workflow. And then once they complete the task, they'll move on to the next one. So I just want to go through these ideas. You can also integrate this back into tasks if you don't have RightFlows as well. So just want to highlight some of those use cases. Another very popular one is setting up a client after the data entry. So creating the client profile and then moving them on to data entry. So just as reminders there. And then that's really kind of the gist of workflows. I can always add different workflows, and then I can also sort through them here. So that is RightFlows. And then the last thing is RightIntel. So if I click right to the left of RightFlows and click into RightIntel, I'm going to head over to the Opportunities tab, because this is a great way to track opportunities, not only to keep you informed, but also boost client engagement. So I'm going to head over to the very far right of my screen and click on Key Events. And this is going to be super helpful to track all different key events. So when is retirement coming up, Social Security, Medicare, do they now qualify for their catch-up contributions, age 59, those penalty-free withdrawals, or have they reached the RMD age? And a lot of advisors will use key events and tie them back to tasks. So you're boosting client engagement, saying, okay, we have to make sure at our next meeting we talk about Social Security that's coming up this year, or okay, you're approaching that RMD age. So they'll tie key events specifically back to tasks or that Right Flows workflow. So then here I can see all clients, all key events, and then what's coming up all time this month, this year, or next year. So really helpful to not only track reminders, but also, hey, we need to talk about this in the next meeting. This is coming up. So then key events, that's all checked off. And then the last really helpful thing in the Right Intel dashboard under client overview is tracking activities. So this can also help see all clients that are invited to RightCapital and have access. What have they been up to in the last 4 weeks? So it will list all clients that have been invited to RightCapital. When did they last log in? When did they first get invited? How many logins? And then their activity within the last 4 weeks. We also send you daily notification emails with capturing activities, but this is the hub to really track the last month and what the clients are doing. So this not only helps with onboarding to see exactly what the client's doing, or if they need that extra nudge saying, okay, I see that you did a few steps of the onboarding, but I need to either create a task or reach out to say, hey, let's get this completed. So lots of helpful information in the client, Right Intel client overview activities, and really staying on top of that engagement. All right, and the last thing I want to cover today is our client-facing resources. So this is another really valuable onboarding tool that can help alleviate a lot of the back and forth regarding data entry questions. So I also like to point out that all of these resources can be embedded in the invitation emails or shared directly with clients, really to help them during the onboarding process. So to get there, I'm going to click into the advisor. I'm going to go back over to my clients tab here, and then I'm going to click into the help tab. So that will bring me directly into our help center. And then on the left-hand side of the page, we have our client experience and resources page. And then I'm just going to scroll down to client-facing resources for the client portal. And we have a long list of different flyers that can be passed over to the clients, but also really helpful videos. Sorry, it's scrolling. So client-facing flyers, getting started using your portal, how to fill out your profile. So really walking through all of the data entry points there. Another very hot topic is data security. So this is a very popular flyer to include, just assuring that the client that everything is safeguarded in RightCapital. Another big one is account aggregation. How do you get those accounts linked? Do we need to troubleshoot any of the common aggregation errors? And then also, what is open banking? That just goes more into the weeds on account aggregation. Another big one is on budgeting. So just updating those transaction permissions with the advisor. And then a big common question is, what is Monte Carlo? Also very popular is client-facing videos. I would say the most popular one here is filling out your profile. So it just goes through really in the weeds on all common questions and how to get everything entered. And then we also have filling out your profile with the vault, as well as filling out your profile with risk. So vault and risk are not automatically checked off, so we didn't include that in the main video. But if you are always including the vault or the risk in the stages of data entry, you can include that for the client. And then lastly, we also have linking accounts in the advisor portal, so that's also very helpful just to walk through. So lots of things here. Again, that is in our help center on the far left of the page under client experience resources, client-facing resources. You can include this in the welcome email so that they're all equipped there. You could also create a vault folder with all of the links. So if you wanted to use, hey, client-facing resources, or watch this filling out your profile, or you can even tie this back to a task. So if you want to create that video and kind of link it for the client, you can do that as well. So lots of different things. And again, here we have some budgeting as well. And then lastly, just to boost client engagement as well, we do have a RightCapital mobile app that's client facing. So that allows clients to do a lot on the go. On the left-hand side of the page, I just want to show you our I'm going to just go back to flyers. Let me see. I just want to show you a visual of the mobile app instead of talking through it. Let me just see. So in our marketing side, I'm just going to go to flyers. And then at the very bottom, I'm just clicking into the mobile app because I just want to show you what our mobile app looks like. But again, this is client facing, so it's not on the advisor side, it's for clients. And then here they can look at their dashboard, budgeting, investment, tasks, and then the vault on the go. So really helpful if they're looking at tasks, completing them, they can do it all through their phone. So really popular with the younger generations as well. And then here, just some features here: dashboard, investment, tasks, vault, and budgeting is included in the mobile app. So again, highly recommend taking a look as the advisor as well. So again, creating yourself as a test client, inviting yourself, and then downloading the app to see what that looks like as well. But if you are using your logo, you will see that in the RightCapital app as well. So wherever you see RightCapital, you will then see your firm logo. Lots of helpful information there to keep clients engaged and answer all questions when they're getting up and running.